Madeleine Beth McCann, born on May 12, 2003, is a name that echoes in the hearts of many around the world. At just 3 years old, she became the center of one of the most heavily reported missing person cases in modern history. On the evening of May 3, 2007, while on holiday in Praia da Luz, Portugal, Madeleine vanished from her bed, leaving behind a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. What happened that fateful night? Madeleine was born to Kate and Jerry McCann, both of whom are medical professionals. Kate, a physician, and Jerry, a cardiologist, were devoted parents who balanced their demanding careers with family life. They also had 2 younger twin siblings, Sean and Amelie, born in 2005, who completed their family unit. The McCanns were a close-knit family, enjoying a holiday together in the Algarve, where they sought on the evening of May 3, 2007, the McCanns dined with friends at a restaurant just 55 meters from their ground floor apartment. The children were left asleep in their beds, with regular checks by their parents. However, at approximately 10 p.m., Kate returned to the apartment to check on the children and discovered that Madeleine was missing. Finding the window open and Madeleine gone, she ran back to the restaurant screaming, "They've taken her!" Chaos ensued as the family and friends launched an immediate search for the little girl, but there were no signs of her anywhere. The window was open, and the back door was unlocked, leading to fears of abduction. The initial search began almost immediately, with resort staff, guests, and local police joining the effort. By midnight, local police from the GNR National Republican Guard were at the scene, but there were immediate issues. The crime scene was not secured properly, and vital forensic evidence may have been lost as people moved in and out of the apartment. The local police concluded their search at around 4 a.m., having found no trace of Madeleine. On May 4, 2007, the Polícia Judiciária, PJ, the Criminal Investigation Department of Portugal, took over the case. By this time, Madeleine's disappearance was making headlines across Europe. The PJ began questioning witnesses, including the McCanns and the Tapas 7. Despite the widespread media attention, the investigation began with some significant missteps. At this stage, the Portuguese police suspected Madeleine might have wandered off. Search teams combed through the beaches, roads, and nearby areas, but still, there was no sign of her. Meanwhile, Kate and Jerry McCann made an emotional public appeal for help. On May 14, 2007, 11 days after Madeleine's disappearance, the police named their first official suspect, Robert Murat. Murat was a British-Portuguese man who lived close to the McCann's apartment and had been helping with translations for the police. His behavior raised suspicions and his home was searched. Despite the intense focus on Murat, no concrete evidence linked him to the crime, and he was later cleared. By June 2007, the British police had become involved, assisting the Portuguese authorities with the investigation. Scotland Yard's forensic team reviewed the evidence, including DNA samples and surveillance footage. As the investigation dragged on with no results, suspicion began to fall on Madeleine's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann. In early August, Portuguese police brought in British sniffer dogs, which were trained to detect human blood and cadavers. The dogs alerted to certain areas of the McCann's apartment, as well as to the trunk of the rental car the McCanns had hired weeks after Madeleine's disappearance. This discovery led investigators to question whether Madeleine had died in the apartment, and if her parents had played a role in covering it up. On September 7, 2007, for months after Madeleine's disappearance, Kate and Jerry McCann were officially named arguidos, or formal suspects, in the case. This move came after Portuguese authorities misinterpreted DNA evidence found in the McCann's rental car, believing it might belong to Madeleine. Despite the lack of any definitive proof, the McCanns remained under scrutiny. This accusation sparked outrage in the UK, and many criticized the Portuguese police for mishandling the investigation. Under intense media pressure, the case became mired in controversy and speculation. On July 21, 2008, the Portuguese authorities officially closed the investigation due to a lack of evidence. The arguido status of Kate and Gerry McCann was lifted, and the case was shelved. The McCanns returned to the UK and launched their own efforts to continue the search for Madeleine through private investigators. In May 2011, 4 years after the case was archived, Scotland Yard launched Operation Grange, a new inquiry into Madeleine's disappearance. Detectives reviewed thousands of documents from the Portuguese investigation, hoping to uncover fresh leads. By 2013, the British authorities had developed a new theory that Madeleine had been abducted by a stranger. They released EFIT images of men they wanted to trace, including one man seen carrying a child towards the beach on the night Madeleine disappeared. Later that year, the Portuguese police also reopened their investigation. However, despite the renewed efforts, no significant breakthroughs were made. The investigation continued at a slower pace, with Scotland Yard scaling back Operation Grange in 2015. Then, in June 2020, a major development occurred. German authorities named Christian Brückner, a convicted sex offender, as their prime suspect in Madeleine's abduction and suspected murder. Brückner had lived in Portugal around the time of her disappearance and had a history of sexual offenses. Despite the belief of German prosecutors that Brückner was responsible for Madeleine's abduction, he has yet to be charged in connection with the case. He remains in prison, serving a sentence for the rape of a woman in Portugal in 2005. As of 2023, the investigation remains open, with German prosecutors leading the inquiry into Brückner's involvement. Portuguese and British authorities continue to follow up on new leads, though the mystery of Madeleine McCann's disappearance remains unsolved. Over the years, several theories have emerged to explain what might have happened to Madeleine McCann. Along with the investigations done based on the abduction by a stranger and about the parents, there were more circulating. Each theory presents different possibilities, but no conclusive evidence has been found to support any of them definitively. Another possibility is that Madeleine's disappearance was the result of a burglary gone wrong. In 2011, during a review of the case, Scotland Yard detectives suggested that the initial motive for entering the apartment may have been burglary, and Madeleine could have disturbed the intruder. Praia da Luz had experienced a number of burglaries in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, and 2 men were reportedly seen nearby on the night of May 3rd. Investigators considered the possibility that Madeleine had been taken as the burglars panicked after being discovered. In 2020, a significant development shifted focus towards Christian Brückner, a convicted German sex offender. Brückner lived in a camper van near Praia da Luz at the time of Madeleine's disappearance and had a history of crimes involving children. German authorities believe he may be responsible for her abduction and murder. While he has yet to be formally charged in the McCann case, Brückner remains the prime suspect. German prosecutors have expressed confidence that he abducted Madeleine, though they have not revealed all the evidence that points to him. His arrest has rekindled interest in the theory that Madeleine may have been taken by a predator who had been watching the family. Another disturbing theory is that Madeleine was abducted by a trafficking ring. Some investigators have speculated that she could have been taken by criminals involved in human trafficking, who targeted her because of her young age and blonde hair. Portugal, as a popular tourist destination, has unfortunately been linked to trafficking networks in the past. However, no solid evidence has ever emerged to support the idea that Madeleine was taken for this reason. Despite this, many believe it remains a possibility, given the nature of her disappearance and the international nature of the investigation. Another theory is that Madeleine may have died accidentally in the apartment and that her parents, fearing the consequences, attempted to cover up her death. This theory gained traction after the cadaver dog's alerts, as well as allegations that Kate and Gerry were behaving strangely following her disappearance. However, the McCanns have vehemently denied these claims, and both Portuguese and British authorities have found no evidence to support this theory. The case files were eventually closed in 2008, and the McCanns were cleared of any wrongdoing. A more chilling theory is that Madeleine may have been taken by a local pedophile network. In the months leading up to her disappearance, there were reports of children being targeted by sexual predators in the Algarve region. Several individuals with past offenses were living in or near Praia da Luz at the time. While this theory has been explored by both Portuguese and British investigators, no substantial link between these individuals and Madeleine has ever been proven. Nonetheless, the possibility remains that she may have been taken by someone familiar with the area and involved in criminal activity. Despite numerous theories, Madeleine McCann's disappearance remains an unsolved mystery. Each possibility raises questions but provides no definitive answers. Over a decade has passed since she vanished, and the case continues to captivate the world as one of the most perplexing missing person investigations of our time. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann sparked unprecedented media coverage, reminiscent of the public's reaction to the death of Princess Diana in 1997. Unfortunately, this scrutiny extended to her parents, who faced baseless allegations and intrusive media speculation. In 2008, the McCanns received damages from Express newspapers for defamation and later testified at the Leveson inquiry into press misconduct, advocating for tighter regulations on media reporting. As of now, Madeleine McCann's whereabouts remain unknown. She would be 21 years old today, and her parents continue to seek answers. In 2022, the case saw renewed attention when German authorities announced they were investigating new evidence linked to Brückner. The case of Madeleine McCann remains open, a poignant reminder of the heartbreak of missing children and the relentless pursuit of truth. As investigators continue their efforts, the hope of finding Madeleine alive endures. What do you think happened to Madeleine McCann? Could the truth still be out there, waiting to be uncovered?